sometimes determining the level of measurement of a data set can be a little bit tricky, so I've put together this flow chart to hopefully help you out. Now, with this flow chart, we always start at the top and work our way to the bottom, because any level contains the traits of all the levels below it in my flow chart, but what I have over here in these orange boxes are the things that will set it apart from the levels below it. So with this flow chart, you would start by asking yourself these two questions here. Can you have none of it? Meaning like none of it actually exists. Or can you have twice as much, or half as much, or some type of a ratio quantity like that? Now, if the answer to your question is yes, then you would be at the ratio level. Okay, if the answer to that question is no, then you come down here and you ask yourself the next question. So do differences, like subtraction, do they make sense to do? And when you do that subtraction, does the answer make sense, and is it something that's useful? Now, if your answer to this question is yes, you would then be at the interval level. If your answer to that question is no, then you would come down here to the third one. Can it be put in order? Now, by being put in order, we do not include like alphabetical order or like colors of the rainbow type order. It has to be in some type of a, logical, mathematical type order, okay? So if the answer is yes, then you would have ordinal data. If your answer is no, then you would default down here to nominal data. So nominal is kind of the category for everything else. Now our first two categories here, ratio and interval, those are always going to be quantitative type data. Now ordinal is usually going to be qualitative. On occasion, it might be quantitative. So this one, ordinal, is usually a little bit kind of up in the air. And then nominal data is typically going to be qualitative types of data. Okay, so ordinal is the one that's kind of an in-between. It can be a little bit of everything. So I'm just going to do a couple of quick examples. Let's say we were looking at the number of social media platforms that you use. So we would start with our first two questions. Can you have none of it? So could somebody say that they have no social media platforms that they use? Well, the answer to that would be yes, okay? And so that would be at the ratio level, okay? What if we did, what's your favorite color? So you ask people, what's your favorite color? Okay. As we work through these top two categories would automatically be kicked out because there's quantitative. But we could still ask ourselves these questions. Can you have none of it? Now, some people might say, well, yeah, you could say you have no favorite color, but that isn't what this means. It would be more along the lines of, could the color not even exist, or something like that. But if that one kind of trips you up, then ask yourself the second question. Could you have twice as much of it? Well, if you're talking about favorite color, and let's say I say my favorite color is orange, what would that even mean to have twice as much of my favorite color? Okay, so that one would be a no. So we'd come down here to question number 2. Do differences or subtraction make sense? Well, if my options are, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, I can't subtract these values, okay? So that would be no. Okay, another kind of indication that these two top categories are only for quantitative. So then our next one, can it be put in order? Now again, I mentioned earlier that like rainbow color order is not a legitimate way to put it in order. So there's really no certain way to put these in order. So that would then be again no, which would then default to nominal. So your favorite color would be nominal. Let's do one more. What if we did like your grade in school? So are you like a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, senior, maybe below that? Okay, so if we look at these again, can you have none of it or can you have twice as much of it? Well, not really, okay, because twice as much of a freshman, what is that? Do differences or subtraction make sense? Well, in this case, kind of like with the colors, it wouldn't make sense to try to take junior minus sophomore or something like that. Can it be put in an order? Now, this one we would have yes, because when we put these in order, they occur in a very specific order, as in you are a freshman, then you move to a sophomore, then you move to a junior, then you move to a senior. Okay, you can't just nilly-willy jump around however you want. So these definitely fall in a particular order. So that would leave us down here at ordinal data. So you can use this as a little bit of a guide to try to help you figure out, well, which level are you at? And make sure you ask yourself the questions going from top down to the bottom, okay? And with these, it does just take a little bit of practice.